Greetings, curious acolytes of the Force, and students of our vast galaxy, and welcome back to our archives inside our great temple. I have been expecting you. Today we shall open another holocron revolving around the mysterious, all-powerful, and nigh omnipotent Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious, of course, being the final Sith Lord of the Bane-9 era of Sith, and the rule of two lineage established by Darth Bane, 1,000 years prior to the events of the Phantom Menace and A New Hope in the Battle of Yavin. Darth Sidious was the culmination of Darth Bane's ideology of the rule of two, bringing about the Sith Grand Plan and scheme that had been in the works for millennia, by destroying the Jedi Order, obliterating the Republic, and plunging the galaxy into a reign of darkness and despair, and absolute power. One could argue more terrible and tyrannical than any other until the rise of Darth Krait's Sith Empire and his dominion for 7 years as Emperor Krait over the galaxy. Darth Sidious was a master in the Force, and his favourite ability being Force Lightning, a staple of him, having first performed it originally in Return of the Jedi, its on-screen debut for the very first time. Also, he recently used his ability in the Revenge of the Sith movie, where in Revenge of the Sith, he utilises it not only against Mace Windu to overwhelm the Jedi Master's blade work, but also against Grand Master Yoda to briefly incapacitate him, and later engage in a duel using Yoda's Tutor Minus in order to attempt to best the Grand Master and throw him from the Senate podium. In my opinion, Darth Sidious could very well be the most powerful Sith of all time, as he is so close to the power of Nihilus and Vitiate. However, I do believe he is slightly inferior to both these Sith Lords. However, I am open to debate and speculation from the Star Wars lore experts in the comments section below. Darth Sidious's lightsaber combat prowess was such that he was considered to be conceived and bred for lightsaber combat, stated to be the greatest Sith Swords master in history. Palpatine used dark side augmentation in order to make it almost impervious to get through his defenses. A master of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, he preferred Nine Man and Juyo, those being the primary forms he specialised in his duel with Mace Windu and with Grand Master Yoda. However, despite Palpatine's immense prowess and skill in lightsaber combat, arguably painting and portraying him as one of the most powerful Sith Lords of all time and one of the most skilled lightsaber combatants, roughly the same level as skilled sword master Darth Malgus and many, many others. Palpatine has been bested in a lightsaber duel many times before. However, as rare and exotic of occasion this is, I had to make a video about it. So my friends, let's go into detail, unveil another ancient manuscript, and dust off an ancient scroll, open a new holocron, and deduct the only 3 beings in Star Wars who ever beat Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, in a lightsaber duel. Be aware that this is coming from the Legends media as well, so we will be including stuff from the Legends timeline pre-2014 with Disney's takeover of Star Wars. With that tiny authorization out of the way, let us begin. Starting off with the most obvious, we have Mace Windu. Mace Windu was regarded as the sword of the Jedi Order, and a very impervious sword. Mace Windu was noted to be as skilled, if not more skilled with the blade, as legendary sword master Count Dooku, the Makashi master, who had practiced and specialised in lightsaber combat for upwards of 80 years since his abduction into the Jedi Order. Mace Windu had mastered lightsaber combat to the form where he had specialised and engineered his own lightsaber form, a variation of Form 7 Juyo. Mace Windu, alongside fellow Jedi Master Sora Bolt, managed to engineer the form of Vapad being the trump card to any dark side wielder, allowing Mace to fuel himself with the anger, aggression, and ferocity that the dark side user he was facing felt, and used power strikes in order to overwhelm his opponent. With this, Mace Windu could essentially overcome any dark side being, including Palpatine. However, it is arguable whether Palpatine threw the lightsaber fight due to his precognitive senses picking up on Anakin Skywalker docking to save the Chancellor from Mace Windu's impending wrath, or some also speculating that Mace Windu only won due to further amplification and augmentation from Anakin Skywalker's own immeasurable fear for the Chancellor's life, who had been like a father figure and best friend to him alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi. Mace Windu, with amplification from Anakin Skywalker's fear, along with the bolstering of Darth Sidious's immense hatred, was able to overcome Sidious in the duel in the Chancellor's office, kicking Sidious's lightsaber out of his hand and forcing him to cower in fear at the foot of his amethyst blade. Of course, this was only a decisive and small victory for the Jedi Master, as Sidious would later get his revenge, where Anakin severed Mace Windu's sword hand, and Sidious used Force Lightning to cripple him and throw him out into the streets of Coruscant. Now with one of the more obvious ones out of the way, getting to another obvious one, we have Grandmaster Yoda. Now, while the duel is not entirely finished in the event of the Revenge of the Sith movie, in the novelization written by Matthew Stover, we can clearly depict Yoda beating Sidious in the lightsaber duel, with Sidious even admitting that he did not have the skill to fend off Yoda in combat, and had to resort into his Force abilities, which he was superior to the Grand Master in due to his abstractly and uniquely high midichlorian count of roughly 20,000. Yoda beat Sidious in the duel due to his 900 years of experience and training under the Jedi, using Ataru acrobatics mixed with power strikes into his strikes in order to overwhelm the defenses and speed of Sidious, forcing Sidious to retreat, and also forcing him to put away his lightsaber and retreat back to his Force abilities, where he held the edge against the Grand Master. Yoda disarmed Sidious, and it is how that came to the scene in the movie. Portraying Sidious is force-pushing the Senate pods towards Yoda. Also in the film, Sidious briefly flees toward the exit straight away, and clearly scared of Yoda's ferocity in lightsaber combat, although this is mainly due to the fact that Ataru focuses on acrobatics, and Sidious had previously thought he was able to defeat Yoda in combat. However, it is not true, due to the fact mainly that Yoda had over 800 years of experience with the lightsaber, while Sidious had just about 40, a pale in comparison to the strength of the Grand Master in Yoda. Yoda eventually was able to overcome Sidious and proved to be superior in the art of blade work. Now, we have the final contender and the final being, and obviously the most obscure entity we have occupying this list of beings who bested Sidious in a lightsaber duel. Coming up next, we have the Grand Master of the Jedi Order after the death of Yoda in Luke Skywalker. This duel takes place during the events of the Dark Empire comic series, depicting the rebirth of Emperor Palpatine in his horrific power as he ravaged the galaxy with the Eclipse Star Destroyer, the most deadly fleet killer in all of Star Wars that could take on entire fleets and the Imperial navies, along with world devastators. During this comic series, we see Palpatine back stronger than ever, and his power ridiculously bolstered. Palpatine has the ability to generate Force storms, and he also has a clone body, much younger than his previously 83-year-old form and corporeal build. In my opinion, this made Palpatine even more potent in lightsaber combat and even more deadly, with his strength in dark side augmentation never reaching its peak after this point. Palpatine was able to duel with Luke Skywalker himself, who was stated to have pioneered new forms like Mace Windu, and had to learn lightsaber combat from strength, engineering the strong form of lightsaber combat, which was taught to his Jedi students in the Jedi Praxium by Jedi Battlemaster Kyle Katarn, one of the greatest Jedi and most accomplished duelers to ever live. Palpatine was briefly able to overcome Luke and beat him in their first confrontation. However, afterwards, in their second confrontation, Luke was able to beat Palpatine pretty badly in the art of blade, using his ability to seemingly manipulate 1,000 lightsabers at a single time, in order to sever Palpatine's hand like he had done to Mace Windu many years prior. Well, what did you think of this breakdown? Is this all the beings who had ever bested Darth Sidious in a lightsaber duel? Have I missed any? If I have, please sure to drop it down in the comments section below. Goodbye, my friends. This is where we part ways. Adorn yourself with your Jedi robes and gather your lightsaber and approach Darth Sidious with caution if you wish to face him in a duel. You might not make it out alive. Goodbye, acolytes. I'll see you in a